inter self, the inter world, and the outer world. How you go inside yourself for definition, and how you navigate outside, that we should find out about these 6 points. So, John Drockton, maybe you can look that up and throw it in the chat room for us. What is Ahmad looking for with 6 versus 3 in the point of origin? All you people will have to get you back on here. Well, maybe, Ken, in space definition, have you got anything to add for our space navigators as far as how you go forward? Do you share any of that with your young people traveling in space, or just use the 3 points of origin? I know there's 3 types of navigation, but have you got anything that you want to add on that, or are we going to talk about that? Can you hear me?
Who are you asking?
Oh,
and that 6 point I was talking about happens to be with Stargate anyways, by the way.
With Stargate?
Yeah, the show Stargate. That's where they mention that.
Can you share anything that you know about that?
I just looked it up. Is what it was.
What's it say? Are you talking about GPS or?
As an example, by Jackson in the 1994 movie, in a 3-dimensional universe, you need 6 references to establish a point, and he draws the 3 intersecting lines between these 6 points. So that's why you need the 6 points.
The 6 points versus 3 intersecting lines. Okay. Well, the field of navigation, folks,
Ken
and how you
put
define.
On hold on his phone.
He fell off, but Ken, you're on live. You're live. Can you hear me? Ken? Ken, can you hear me? This is so interesting because he fell off and he called back in. Ken?
He said he can hear.
I wonder if he's got. Okay, I wonder why. You're on the phone, Ken.
He might have muted his phone itself.
Did you mute your phone, Ken? Check your mute button. See, because you're on and you're live and your button's on. So, yeah, we're just trying to navigate the airwaves right now. So, what language are we speaking? Space navigation, whether it's German, French, Dutch, Italian, Spanish, Stargate comments. So, what we're going to be handling, folks, is the reality that there are alien civilizations and how they actually deal with us in space. And alien civilizations exist, and I'm going to talk about how they interact with us on a conscious level, which is going to be a little different than what we're accustomed to. But let's talk about alien navigation, and I was going to get Ken because Ken is actually a pilot. Now, I don't think in space there's choices we make about exploration in space and navigating in space. And we've got different people that have computation devices when you're in our atmosphere, but not with complex space trajectories when they're going to the moon and Mars and places like that. So a lot of people are wondering if those that are conscious now have done this before, and are they sharing reverse technology. So we're getting not just into why we're here and the revelations of who we are, but have we done this before? So what is origin? And why are we using our minds these days? And why are some people seeing saucers or unidentified flying objects or anomalous phenomena, and others are not? And I would like to reference my grandson's birthday was on March 13th, and I just happened to be a truck driver back on March 13th, and I was in a truck, and believe it or not, I was heading into Phoenix on a road before it was dark 30, before 9 or 9:30 that night. We're in the. Does anybody remember? I can hear Ken. Ken, can you not hear us?
I hear you loud and clear. Did I push the right button?
Yeah, there you are. Yay. There you go. Got back on here. Yeah, you you fell off there for a while talking about space navigation. So now Ken's back.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord of mercy. Okay, Ken.
Yeah. I was going to give you a quick rundown how we had to learn to fly in space. And,
well, there you go.
With the airplane.
Something.
Yeah. And are you still listening to me?
I am.
Testing 1, 2. Okay. I was going to say, back in the early, just with airplanes, you have your whole environment. You have forward, backwards, left, right, up, and down. Now you add to that you have in space we used the same type of thing, but we couldn't use we use what we called a thrust translation handle, which is like a T handle, and that's where it would, if we were looking at something over to our left, we could turn the spacecraft away, but we would have to use the TTCA and increase thrust to go into that direction, and then we would have to not throttle, but rotate it over to the other side. So we were using basically six means of position, and then part of that we were using to get our location. We'd pinpoint where Mars was, where Saturn and Jupiter were, and where we would pick one of the solar systems constellation, one of the largest. I'm trying to think of which one it was. One of the largest suns, if you want to go with that, stars, and that would be our fixed position, because it was so many light years away that whatever we did wouldn't even be able to be recognized and noticed because of the billions of or millions of light years, or perhaps billions of light years. So no, I can't remember the name of that particular star cluster, but that was what we'd use as our fixed base, and then we'd use the Earth, and we had the Earth rotating around the sun, and we had the moon going around the Earth, and we had to take all those into consideration to know where we were. So that kind of confuses everybody real good, and I since it's been that many years since I was doing it, I'm probably confused just as much as you are. But we managed to be able to do that, and the computer systems have really changed a lot since then. So just about now, all we have to do is punch in the title or the location of where we want to go, hit the go button, sit back and relax, and we can warp our way into that constellation and be at the location where we want to go. So things have changed a lot since I was flying a little Piper Cub and then flying an F4 Phantom jet at twice the speed of sound. And so it's a lot. I think we've made a few improvements and we're moving in the right direction. So I don't know if that helps or just confuses people more, but you know where you're at, roll, pitch, yaw, translate left, right, up, and down. So it's capable. We know how to do it.
Well, I think the XYZ space points are your point with the three major axes where they intersect. It's more of what I was going for.
Well, see, the 6 points creates that. The 6 points create that. You have to have a beginning and an end for each one of them points. So for the 3 lines, you have to have 6 positions.
So that's why you said 6 solved your locating origin, and
right.
Your model in space is to locate their 0 point or your model space. So you insert your 0 insertion. How do you find where you're at in the Big Bang? Okay, folks. Was there a Big Bang in space? Are you a creationist? Do you think some God has always been? I heard from those beings there in the Allied Command, the one that's real above those people, because we have an empirical standard in the realms out there, whether one wants to believe or not, and that's up to whoever, I guess, as you rise to the occasion, determining your place in space and whether or not Big Bang really happened or not. But the points of origin, your vectors. And what if your initial point isn't your origin? Sometimes we don't know our original point. But for those of you on the planet, Stargate 6 points rotate, and Ahmad's doing his best to make us understand, and so is a pilot here, pitch and yaw and roll forward, back. And what is the reason for us even existing in space? What is the model and the origin of, are we one? Are we actually a alien species in space? That's sort of heavy to think about. So we're going to do our best to keep you out there swirling around in space and wondering, why are we here? We work with a lot of people, and we want to do the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and math, and how to get more women in all these science, technology, and engineering and math, but also anyone that wants to navigate and work with us. You don't have to be intelligent, you just have to be curious, and being curious is a big part of that. So if you'd like to get to know us better, please like us here on, you can go to blogtalkradio.com, and that's /TJMRCT Radio to find us, and our website where we post all of our history. We're archivists, keep all our shows. And we're going to be talking more about navigation, space communication, lunar and planetary, and how we're going to define who we are. And we're going to choose the business language of English, and then we can define other levels in other countries and get them to help us translate. Now, Ken is going to be working with whatever you're interested in with a chain of command with our group, because we're individuals and we're all curious. And Ken, are you working on something? Is that?
Yes, I apologize.
Yeah. You can't get away with anything, can you? In radio land, we can hear what you're doing. So, for some reason, at these where we are in space and radio, we can hear the sounds that happen, and they get recorded here. We're going to put them up on Spreaker and iTunes and iHeart now. We're very fortunate to be getting out there with FM radio and Mixcloud and SoundCloud. We've got a lot of places now that carry this radio show, and they're really glad that we're going to speak frankly about what we're doing with those in America and in other places. But we're doing our best to help these extraterrestrial beings. The American usage of extraterrestrial, it's often called a space alien. And a lot of people, including me in the beginning, I didn't like the name alien, and I had asked our alien UFO community to start calling us extraterrestrials versus alien. So alien versus ET got to be a big thing through the last 10 or 20 years. I know since I started writing in 2006, and prior to that, I just had in and out investigations, but I wasn't allowed to talk about them. And I got started back in 67, May 67. So I've been doing investigations at least that long and learning how to be law enforcement and criminal justice. And that took me into space communication and navigation and finding out about people. Ken, do you remember going to the Windsor Plaza and us watching 2001 Space Odyssey? You and I were both there in Houston.
I sure do. Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed that. Because it was kind of great. We had all the astronauts were brought in on bus, and they were able to open up the door big enough. This was a dome, a giant dome, and just about everybody with NASA and involved in the space programs were invited to the showing of it, and there was so much truth that was presented there that most people didn't realize that that we really were moving out into space and accomplishing more. So, yeah, it was great. I didn't know that you were there either. We just learned something new we covered. Actually, you started with the space program almost the exact same year I did. I got out of the Marine Corps in 1966, and I was with NASA by the end of 66 and the start of 67. So we were just kind of doing our same things, but parallel lines until we got a chance to run.
I wonder about that, Ken, to be honest with you, and James Oberg and all those people out there that have gotten in touch with me. 2001 A Space Odyssey was produced by Stanley Kubrick, and it was, we thought that we would be much further along when it came out, and I'm surprised that we're not further along in space now, but it was 2001 Space Odyssey for all of you. And, you know, if you haven't seen it, it's fantasy sci-fi, but it came out in 1968, and we were, like you said, we were all went